Swadika, welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. Tonight you with me, Rungtip Chonapalai. Less than 24 hours before the Constitution Court is expected to announce if the Charter Amendment process can continue or not, the Metropolitan Police insists it is ready to control the situation if protests turn violent. Red shirt leaders hinted that if the verdict is not in their favor, there will be consequences. Almost 2,000 police officers in uniform and undercover are reported to be deployed at the Constitution Court and will arrest demonstrators on either side of the political spectrum should they turn violent following announcement of the court decision. Police Major General Adun Seng Singkail, Deputy Police Commander in charge of civil protests, said today's anti-mob drill shows the police are ready. Protesters for and against the amendment of the 2007 Constitution are expected to flood to area around the Constitution Court on Jang Watana Road. Tomorrow the court is expected to announce if the Charter Amendment process is legal and can proceed. MPs in opposition to the amendment claim the proposed new charter will likely have an effect on the monarchy. Yet those in favor of the amendment deny such claim and insist the process of amendment is legal and that the judicial branch should not intervene. Meanwhile, in Parliament, while the military top brass being were asked to answer questions about budget spending, Red Shirt leader Korkya Pikunthong put pressure on the generals by raising the issue of how soldiers dispersed the Red Shirt protests when the Democrats were government. Thai MPs Korkya said earlier that Red Shirt leaders are unlikely to accept the court's ruling if it orders a complete stop to the Charter Amendment process. He also speculated that if protesters do clash, the military may take the opportunity to seize power. The private business sector is hoping that the Constitution Court's verdict on the Charter Amendment bill tomorrow won't trigger violent protests, but they are worried that the protests may discourage potential foreign investors and damage the tourism industry, both of which previously suffered setbacks due to political turmoil and is still recovering from last year's floods. I hope everyone can accept the verdict no matter what it is. We should be able to respect other people's point of view peacefully, said Ponsin Pachalintanakul, Deputy Secretary General of the Thai Chamber of Commerce. He believes that violence will damage Thailand's economy without any hope of recovering quickly. The director of the Federation of Thai Industries also urges the government to spend more time preparing for possible violence, as there has been so much of it in the past 5 years. The president of Tourism Council of Thailand, Piyaman Techa expressed similar concerns regarding violent conflicts. She said that violence caused by political disagreement will stifle the recent slow recovery of the country's tourism sector. Thailand used to be one of the highest ranked tourism destinations, but the past 5 years the industry has seen a decline. According to the most recent update, 92 Thais have now been detained by Myanmar forces for allegedly crossing the border to operate rubber plantations. The Thai-Myanmar Township Border Committee is in the process of coordinating for the detainees' release. Meanwhile, the province of Ranong has increased surveillance along the frontier to prevent villagers from encroaching into the neighbors' territory. Public security-related agencies, together with natural resources and environmental organizations, gather in attempts to help the 92 Thai nationals detained in Myanmar return home. The meeting agreed to raise the issue with the Thai-Myanmar Township Border Committee, or TBC, soon. It is also reported that all detainees will be facing charges of illegal entry to Myanmar. Additionally, those who had been found with drugs and weapons will remain in custody pending further investigation. The Chief of Defense Forces of the Royal Thai Army, General Thanasak Patimaprakorn, said that the negotiation is being carried out by the Township Border Committee, the Regional Border Committee, as well as via diplomatic channels. He also expressed confidence that Thanks to the two countries' good relations, there should be no problem that the detainees not facing trial should be released before the official visit of Myanmar's president to Thailand on July 22nd. Furthermore, General Thanasak is going to recommend the government establish a bilateral high-level committee to specifically take care of issues concerning Thai and Myanmar armed forces. On the last leg of her Asia tour in Thailand, International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde has acknowledged the worries among our Asian nations over the possible impacts from the continued economic crisis in the Eurozone, saying that the EU recovery is worrying and weak. Here's more.
Speaking at an economy conference in Bangkok today, IMF Chief Lagarde said that the growing risks posed by the extended problems in the EU are likely to influence IMF revised World Economic Outlook numbers due to be published on Monday.
The sovereign debt crisis has expanded into questioning about the future of the Eurozone and the viability of the monetary union. And that is clearly a risk that looms and lurks in the background for many Asian policymakers and for many policymakers around the world.
Asked what her biggest hope was, the IMF chief said women, especially those in Asia. Hugh Adams, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Hugh. The inevitably to tackle conflicts of interest in corporate management has become a global phenomenon as stakeholders face a heavy cost arising from corporate greed. Asian or ASEAN businesses are therefore developing a scorecard to promote strong corporate governance, which is seen to offer both economic and social benefits to member countries like Thailand. Here's more from Kun Bandit Ket Bandit.
In recent years, several corporate governance failures and scandals have come to light, all of which put shareholders' investments at risk. To avoid repeating their mistakes, directors of Thai companies and their ASEAN counterparts are embarking on a system called Corporate Governance or CG Scorecard to heighten corporate accountability, sustainability and transparency.
Thai company directors about the new framework of ASEAN Corporate Governance Scorecard, which are being developed by a number of ASEAN experts in order to have a common matrix that we can assess the good corporate performance in terms of good governance among companies in Asia.
But it noted that the CG scorecard will play an increasingly important role for investors in evaluating which companies in which to entrust their money, as well as assessing how Thai companies fare in comparison with others in the region. Not only do companies with good corporate governance enjoy higher amounts of investment, but their greater sense of stakeholder responsibility will also benefit the country as a whole.
If the company is sustainable, it's also springing up the benefit for the stakeholders in terms of employees in the company, in terms of creditor, in terms of investor, and eventually the economy at large. So I think sustainable private sector through corporate governance will help also to ensure sustained good performance of the economy.
While much interest surrounds the CG scorecard, this evaluation methodology, which is based on 5 criteria, namely shareholder rights, shareholder treatment, stakeholders, information disclosure, and management transparency, is seen by some experts as just the beginning of long-term good corporate practice.
I think having a scorecard, meaning a lot of people criticize it as checking the box. Do you have independent directors? Do you have disclosure policy? There was a question raised today whether this ticking works, compliance, but I think that the idea of compliance is the beginning of having good governance. It's not the solution, but I think it's the beginning that at least you know what constitutes good governance.
Duan Den of TDRI insisted that beyond complying with CG scorecard regulations, companies need to undertake more long-term strategy planning and more creative thinking. At the same time, achieving good corporate governance is partly the responsibility of investors, as their investment in and support of companies with good CG will create greater incentive for firms to uphold good corporate practices.
Thank you, Kun Bandit. Last week, the national carrier Thai Airways launched a new airline called Thai Smile Airways, while TG made it clear that this is not a new low-cost carrier. The big question is how this new airline will survive in a marketplace where low-cost carriers continue to carry an increasing share of the passenger load. Kun Supachon Grinsawan had a talk with the managing director of Thai Smiles.
We have to ensure smooth operation with cost effectiveness. The Thai Smile going to be, we are not a low-cost carriers, but we try to keep our costs low by adapting the low-cost operating concept in every aspect of our operation. We have full support from Thai Airways. I don't worry about the operation, but to ensure smooth operation with cost effectiveness going to be very important.
Right, but now the mother company is losing money, so how can you expect the sub company to be making profit?
You couldn't say the mother company losing money. The airlines business is seasonality. It's fluctuate all the times. Even Singapore Airlines this year announced first quarter unprofitable. Thai Airways right now is still in pretty good shape. Maybe not as booming as in the 10-20 years, but the business environment is different. We have to admit that the airline business today is more and more tough, and the cost control is the more important issues. So the importance of Thai Smile is more important, that we need to bring the cost down and at the same time ensure the smooth operation.
All right, so if everybody's buying gasoline at the same price, buying their airplanes at the same location, how could you possibly cut the costs?
The concept is simple. Yeah, we look at our friends in low-cost carriers and we adapt the concept that from the low-cost carrier to apply in our operation where we can done. For example, like we use a single type of aircraft, single fleet. We keep our back office cost low by trying to be less luxury or more simple. The reason of Thai Smile to exist and to continue doing business is that we have to make the better cost effectiveness than the mother carrier.
So are you saying that the problems within Thai Airways is too much to be fixed? So that's why you're coming up with a new airline?
Oh no, not really. You couldn't say that because the reason that we developed Thai Smile is not the reason from TG itself. It's a response to the market, especially in 2015 after the ASEAN Open Sky fully affected. We have to admit that in the past, Thai Airways didn't concentrate very much in this region compared with our friends around here, like Silk Air. They have like 25 destinations in ASEAN, while Thai Airways only have around 10-15 destinations in ASEAN. In the past, we don't have equipment that fit to the market. With this 11 up to 20 aircraft that we acquire in the future, going to give us opportunity to capture this market. In long term, we position Thai Airways Smile as a regional air service. We will cover around 70% international destination and 30% domestic destination. Within 3 years, in 2015, by that time we will be able to cover more than 25 destinations with more than 450 frequency per week and carry passenger more than 5 million passengers per year.
Right.
Thank you, Kun Supachon. Yesterday, Derek Mitchell, the first U.S. ambassador to Myanmar in 22 years, formally assumed his position by presenting his credentials to President Thein Sein at the presidential mansion in Naypyidaw. He arrived earlier in Yangon, the country's largest city, before heading to the capital. Michelle was previously President Barack Obama's special envoy to Myanmar until the U.S. Senate confirmed his position as ambassador in June. The U.S. was keen to restore full diplomatic relations after Thein Sein, who took office after a general election in March 2011, instituted liberal reforms after almost 5 decades of repressive military rule. The initiative is in large part meant to attract foreign aid and investment. The previous military regime was shunned by many Western countries for its poor record on human rights and democracy. And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rungtip Chonapalai. สวัสดีค่ะ